Welcome, everyone, to Trend Talks Life. I am your host, Erin Tomie. Today, we're talking to Vice President of Product Management, Scott Sargeant. Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Erin, how about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so happy to have you here on Trend Talks Life today, and I would love to just start with you sharing a bit about your role here at Trend Micro.
Yeah, great. Look forward to it. Thank you. I'm a product leader in Rachel Jin's team. I've been responsible for our cyber risk exposure management solution since we launched it. I also look after some of the other modules in Vision One. I look after our data security module, our identity security module, and recently I took over responsibility for our threat intelligence module as well. There are a few other areas I look after as well, cyber insurance, dashboards and reports, and the Vision One mobile app as well.
Wow. Okay. I actually didn't realize how many different areas you touched in your role, Scott. So, okay, we have a lot to dive into today. But first, I know you've been in IT your entire career, so just shy of 30 years now, and you joined Trend back in 2015. Can you tell us your Trender origin story? How did you get to Trend?
Yeah, so that's almost right. So actually my very first role I took after leaving education was as an accounts clerk. I'd always been interested in IT actually, and it just so happened that the Swedish accounts department that I was working in was located next door to the IT manager's office, and I built up a bit of rapport with him. And after a few months, he said, "Hey, how do you feel about moving into the IT team?" And so I said, "Hey, that sounds fantastic." And there was, I say team, there was only me and him. So anyway, I joined that, and then about 6 weeks later, they fired him, leaving me as effectively acting IT manager at a pretty young age with not much experience. So it was very much a sink or swim situation. And then anyway, from there, I moved into a variety of infrastructure roles for customs and systems integrators. I ended up as the head of global infrastructure for a FTSE 250 manufacturer. And that was good. It was really exciting. I did enjoy the job. However, working in infrastructure, unfortunately, you are often seen as a cost center. It's pretty long hours, always on call out. And it's a bit of a thankless task, when something goes wrong, your head's on the block, but nobody ever says, "Hey, thanks, nothing went down today." So, it's a very stressful role as well. And so I kind of decided it was time for a change. And I moved into a pre-sales role for an application and privilege management vendor called Avecto. I've been with Avecto for about 2 years, and then one day I got a call from a recruitment consultant talking to me about a sales engineer role at Trend. And so I remember actually I was on vacation in Florida, and the invitation for this interview came through with Ross Dyer. My wife was like, "Hey, you're on holiday. What are you doing taking an interview?" And I was like, "Hey, well, this thing sounds really interesting." So I did. I took the interview with Ross Dyer, and it went well. 2 interviews later, I joined Trend, and that was about 9.5 years ago.
Wow. So I guess initially my question would be, do you think it was worth taking that time on your vacation to do a little interview?
Well, it's safe to say I've been at Trend over double the amount of time I was in any other role for. So yeah, I think so.
Well, Scott, you were in that kind of end user role for so long. You talked a little bit about what that experience was like and the environment that you were in. It's quite a big change to move then over to the vendor side, being in pre-sales, being a sales engineer. How does your experience as an end user influence how you approach product management now, and maybe how you approach being in sales engineering?
Yeah, so I actually found the transition pretty easy from infrastructure to pre-sales. It was challenging actually landing that first role, because trying to land a pre-sales role with no pre-sales experience is not easy. But I did manage to when I was talking to Avecto, I was like, "Hey, listen, maybe I haven't had that much pre-sales experience, but I've been on the customer side for a long time. I know what customers want, and so therefore, I know how to talk to customers and to sympathize with their pain points. So I found that transition, pretty easy, to be fair. And then, so I was a pre-sales engineer for a few years. And then I had an opportunity to join the European team as a solutions architect. So it's kind of a similar role, but just more working on kind of larger, more complex deals, but for all of Europe, not just for the UK. And then, ultimately ended up in product management. And I feel, for being a customer myself, again, has stood me in pretty good stead as a product manager. At the end of the day, product management 101 is all about talking to your customers. Okay, and I understand that customer mindset. But I do think one important thing to consider is, often, we get customers raising feature requests all the time. Like, hey, we need you to change the product to do this. And that's, of course, they think they know how to solve their problem. And I think one interesting thing that my time at Trend in all of my roles here has taught me is that it's important to try and educate the customer about different ways of solving their problems. Just because they think they want a button here or a widget there doesn't necessarily mean that actually solves their problem. And so, again, being able to talk to the customer to sympathize with the problem, but then also propose potentially a different way of solving that challenge for them, I think that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, I think being an end user yourself really gives you the experience to know what it's like to be in their shoes. You know the stress that they're under, you know what they're dealing with every day. But then being in product management, you see the nuances of how a product can work or should work for someone. So there might be that initial, I just want it to do this. And now you have the perspective to say, well, I know that these things are all connected. So there's actually a better or more efficient way for you to do this that's actually going to be better in the long run.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Scott, at the beginning, you mentioned all the different areas that you touch in your role. What are you most excited about right now?
So, Vision One has come such a long way in such a short time, Erin. If I think back, it was an XDR solution. We introduced some, elements of exposure management. Then with our kind of Project Rainbow, where we brought all the point products into Vision One, that single experience for the customers now is just huge. And we're seeing massive traction, massive growth in Vision One generally, but specifically with regards to cyber risk exposure management, we're at over 5,000 customers now. That's since a GA in July of 2023. So, in less than 2 years to attract 5,000 customers on a brand new solution is just amazing, really. And that number is growing every single month as well. It's never dropping, it's always growing. So, absolutely fantastic. On the 1st of April, we launched our brand new package, Cyber Risk Exposure Management Essentials, where we brought new capabilities into Vision One. So security awareness, both phishing simulations and training campaigns. We brought in our compliance management tool to help customers produce audit-ready information at the click of a button. And also our attack path prediction as well, enabling customers to look at their infrastructure from the attacker's point of view. So, put myself on the outside of the network. What are the entry points? What are your choke points? How can I get into your environment? How can I move laterally? And how can I get to the crown jewels? So Cyber Risk Exposure Management Essentials brought those 3 new capabilities to Vision One, to the Cyber Risk Exposure Management solution. And on day 2, we'd had 89 customers upgrade. So, absolutely blown away by that. And I'd love to talk to you about some of the plans we've got for 2025, because honestly, they're really exciting. But, I believe this is being recorded and will be shared publicly. So unfortunately, I can't tell you all the things I'd love to talk to you about that are coming up in 2025. But let's just say watch this space.
Well, very exciting. And I appreciate you sharing what you can with us. And I can tell how excited you are for what's to come. So really looking forward to learning more in the future. But Scott, thank you so much for joining me today on Trend Talks Life. I've loved learning more about your journey, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, and thank you, Erin. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.